Hey, welcome back. This is Jared at 3C's Recreation, and I have another beta tech tip for you guys. This is a quick one. This is how we're gonna run a cooling fan kit with the race harness. This customer has let me go all out with this bike, so it's really cool. A little rundown. We just did a radiator braces on this one. We did the wraparound handguards. We changed his tires out to the AT81s. He did different fork springs and shock spring. We did the TM skid plate that protects the linkage. We did the slave cylinder guard. We did the rear rotor guard in the bottom here. We did the FMF slip-on. We just wrapped up the coolant hose kit, so that's installed now. And then this is our fan kit. So this is where it's all pretty much self-contained at this point on the radiator. And what I need now is power, because when you go to a race harness like we've installed here, we're left with just a kill switch and a start button. And this harness is so trimmed out. This is for our dual ignition map. There's nowhere else in this harness for this to plug into. So now we need a positive and negative. So what I did is we cut this out of the stock harness, because obviously we're not using that anymore. That way I can keep my nice plug and play on here. If he's got to take the radiator off, he can unplug this easily. And we're going to route a black and red wire along the stock harness here back to the battery. And to do that, you have your standard wire tools, some zip ties, the black and red wire, some heat shrink connectors down lower in the harness, and then just our eyelets for the battery connector. So I'll wire it up. I'll show you guys how I routed it, and then we'll take her outside and we'll let her run for a little bit. Okay, so wiring this was super simple. We got the negative and the positive. They're zip tied underneath here. They're underneath a little hook that's right there for the wires. They follow down through here, again in the factory hook. Underneath, we've got one zip tie here. And then here's our connector. We just tucked it up underneath of there. And so now we'll just take her outside, and for the customer, we'll make sure everything works. Okay, so we also added an inline fuse to our fan circuit. We put a 15 amp fuse in here. And the reason is if the fan has a short, or if it fails, or if it's working too hard, it won't backfeed and hurt our bike system. It'll pop this fuse. So we added this in it. One other side note with these fan kits is if, say the bike is too warm and you shut the bike off, the way I have it now, the fan can continually run until the thermostat switch released and let it disconnect. So this customer knows that, and he's not worried about it. So if he's potentially riding down south, it's super hot and his radiator's hot, and he shuts the bike off, this will continue to run. He could simply just disconnect it here or pull the fuse. He's aware of that. Some guys like to run another switch up to the handlebar to control that fan. So I guess you'd have to turn this on, the fan switch on, and then the thermostat would do its job. And then at the end of the day, you can just turn that back off. So we're not going to do that for this customer, because that's not going to be a concern. Even with like Drew's factory hard enduro bike that I have here, his doesn't have the handlebar switch. And even in Texas, he didn't encounter needing to manually be able to shut it off. So just wanted to make note that we did add an inline fuse in here as well. So a quick easy way to make sure the fan is working, because right now outside it's like 30 degrees. So without making the bike run forever, and we're going to assume that our switch works, we've got it all wired. I just have the charger on it, just keeping the battery topped off. All we do is we're going to disconnect the pins out of the sensor, and we basically just have a jumper wire. So we're gonna fool it to think that the bike is up to temp and it needs the fan to come on. And you can hear everything down. So as long as our sensor works like it should, we've never seen one of those fail, at least on the beta stuff, we should be good to go.